All right, so look, thanks for having me today. So I'm presenting on the work we've done around the violence and emergency department. So this came off the back of some work Martin and I were doing in the space of developing applications for virtual reality. And it's a partnership between University of Sydney and Western Sydney Local Health LHD. So we've got Dr. Jennifer Davids from the Research Education Network, Kavita Varshney and Margaret Murphy from Westmead ED, Martin from USyd, as well as Russell from Frameless Interactive as our development partner. And how this all came to be was we know we have a huge problem in healthcare with violence in our emergency departments. You only need to flick through the media for a few moments to see how terrible these situations are. Aggression and violence in the work in healthcare settings increasing problem worldwide, and estimates are around a fifth of healthcare professionals have experienced violence perpetrated by patients or family every single year. So this is an enormous problem that we need to find ways to deal with. So what we did was, as part of wanting to develop an application to support this, we used a constructivist ethnographic methodology to build a picture of staff experiences in an emergency department. So over about a year, from June 2019 through July 2020, we conducted 20 interviews and 1 to 2 hour observations at 4 different hospitals within the district. The data comprised 46 cases of ED violence, which were then thematically analysed by our team, and consensus was reached among the researchers regarding the main themes. So when we were doing it, by about interview 17, we'd reached saturation of the themes we were sort of looking into. So we finished off a few more just to wrap it up. Following those interviews, 3 key categories of disease were identified, of being mental illness, dementia, and drugs and alcohol as being the primary causes. And one of our key findings was a lack of consistency in the management, escalation, and responsibilities within the team. And that was a really common theme that came back to us. So what we did was we were looking at how we could supplement this training and how we could change things. So we actually ended up partnering up with the emergency department from our small innovation group, so that we would be start off developing an application in parallel to actually being ingrained in the process of what a true review of these processes would be. So we pulled together with this team, a multidisciplinary team comprising of ED, security, digital health, educational, and innovation staff, to review the Code Black responses across our district. So basically the content we're developing is looking at things like situational awareness using something called the Behaviors of Concern chart, which is about identifying early signs of aggression before they occur. Talking about verbal de-escalation techniques, identifying when to call a Code Black, and really clarifying that this doesn't just happen when a patient gets violent. It's about identifying when these things are happening early so that we can prevent them getting to that point. Then for during it, there's actual de-escalation techniques within it, roles and expectations of healthcare staff, really coming up with that team approach and considering what staff wellbeing needs to look like throughout it. And then the after part of documentation and making sure there are processes in place to support that staff wellbeing. And I guess the really innovative, like we've used a multimodal approach to developing this training, with things from simulation through e-learning modules, face-to-face teaching, presentations, quizzes, all sorts of things. But the really innovative part that we've tried to bring together with this is our use of virtual reality to supplement the training. So up on the left-hand side there, you can see something that's called 360 video. So we've actually, one of the requests from people within the interviews was that they weren't prepared the first time they saw a Code Black experience. So we actually hired an actor and put you in the position of the team leader using an Oculus Quest headset, which is one of these. You can put that on and you're actually standing there at the bedside when this happened. You are standing there in the line of this patient getting aggressive. And we have 360 video of that team assembling all the way through to physically restraining the patient to the bed. We've also got a randomized 360-degree video of our whole ED department, so 8 beds around it, which we've hired actors to show varying levels of aggression. And those are then spliced together into 2-minute segments to create over 250 new scenarios every time you play it, it's different, but you actually do real-time observations on the in the application using that box chart. So you can click on them and say, oh, that patient's looking like they're confused, irritable, or whatever. And that all feeds into the LMS, which then records, and either the user or the educator can log in and see what people have seen, what they've missed. We're also working on a verbal de-escalator. So over on the right-hand side here, this is one of our Unreal MetaHumans, which allow you to actually talk to an aggressive avatar and practice those verbal de-escalation skills. And that patient will model and actually understand you verbally talking to them and will respond depending on what you say. So look, I'll finish it up there. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you found that valuable. I'm really happy to answer any questions that you may have.